I was ushered out of childhood at the age of 10 when I attended my 19-year-old cousin's funeral. My aunt and uncle used a French short story, The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, as a thematic centerpiece for the funeral services, as well as a coping mechanism for their grief. The story depicts the world in a lens of neoteny, or childlike innocence. And that's what my aunt and uncle needed at that time, to see death as a simple part of the life cycle. For me, I took away a different part of the story. You see, grown-ups love numbers, and thus always ask questions that don't really matter. When you tell them about a new friend that you made, they never ask, what does his voice sound like? What games does he like? Does he collect butterflies? No, instead, they ask, how many siblings does he have? How old is he? How much does his father make? Only then do they think they actually know the person. Likewise, if you were to tell grown-ups, I saw a beautiful red brick house with geraniums on the windowsills and doves on the roof, they wouldn't be able to imagine the house. You'd have to tell them, I saw a house worth $100 million. Only then would they say, oh, what a beautiful house. And that was my first lesson in the grown-up world, to always keep certain aspects of being a kid. For my aunt and uncle, that was to see certain complex aspects of adulthood, such as death, in a childlike way. For me, it was to always ask questions, and ask questions about what truly matters to me. That actually fit very well with a nickname I was later given in life. I became Curious George. And with those two role models, Curious George, who was always so curious about trying new things and seeing new things, and the Little Prince, who never let go of a question once he asked it, I set upon the journey of exploring the grown-up world. Now that's easier said than done, especially the little fact that grown-ups love numbers. When you're studying to become a mechanical engineer like me, engineering tends to dominate and thrive in numbers. Actually, that's only what it seems like. For me, the most beautiful aspect of engineering does not necessarily rely that heavily on calculations and figures. The aspect that I'm talking about is engineering design. Let me tell you what engineering design is in my terms, as well as why it's so mind-blowingly amazing. We have to first backtrack a bit to 7-year-old me, who, as a grown-up, wanted to become an inventor. For me, earning a degree in engineering is pretty much the closest thing that you can get to earning a degree in inventing. And it's specifically the design aspect that deals with the invention process. It deals with synthesizing previously acquired knowledge into something new, something innovative. In essence, something creative. The cool aspect is that it's not just engineering that has such a design component. Many other majors and different fields of study have that as well. The arts, the humanities, the sciences, business, cinematic arts, medicine, they all have such a creative component of design. The very conference that we're at, TED, is all about technology, entertainment, and design. Countless of hours have been poured into the concept of design, and hundreds of TED Talks have been given. So how do we ultimately improve our design thinking? How do we make ourselves more creative thinkers and ultimately better inventors? In order to start answering that question, we first have to understand how thinking works. One theory that explains this is Simonton's stochastic, or random process theory. Simonton says that any new idea or thought in your head is basically a recombination or association between things that you've seen, felt, heard, tasted, or thought of in the past. And through a Darwin-like natural selection process, these bad associations and the weak associations filter out, whereas the strong ones keep on living and surface towards the top of your consciousness. And that's how a new idea is formed. In my research, I came across UC Santa Cruz professor David Cope, who demonstrated this, recreating the old to form something new in a very elegant way. He was a musical composer as well as a scientist and studied how artificial intelligence can be combined with music. So he created Emmy. Emmy was a computer software program that analyzed dead composers' music, such as Bach and Mozart, and segmented them and recombined these segments to form new music, to form entirely new composed pieces. In essence, Emmy did not just randomly create notes, but it analyzed previously created work, previously created thoughts, and recombined them in specific ways to create something new. It was actually so effective that there was genuine fear in the musical community when musical experts weren't able to tell the difference anymore between a composer's work and a computer program's work. David Cope basically showed that all it takes to imitate a dead, creative, musical genius is simply recombining old ideas in new ways. So how do we apply Emmy's strategy to us? How can we imitate dead, creative geniuses? Like we said, we draw associations between things that we've been exposed to in the past. And we can improve that process by increasing the number of thoughts and ideas in our past. And that's where Curious George and the Little Prince come back into play. In order to make more associations, we have to be able to have a wider array of ideas to be able to draw from. So we have to be a little bit more curious about our surroundings and a little bit more stubborn with our questions. I take Curious George and the Little Prince very personally. You may say that I'm all over the place. When somebody asks me such a simple question as where I'm from, I have this internal conflict of whether I should cite the first 10 years of my life in Europe or whether I should cite the following 8 years of my life in Northern California. In the past, my New Year's resolution has been to try new things, to try something new every single day and push my comfort zone, to do something that people would never imagine me to do. And that proved to be actually pretty fitting with my style. In high school, I was involved in scouts, robotics, dancing, and taekwondo. In college, as an undergraduate here, I was a mechanical engineering student who was involved in the ballroom and Latin dance team, an SC Outfitters and outdoors organization, and was a freshman academy coach. I've gotten the critique of being all over the place, but you have to admit, I'm a damn good candidate for designing a ballroom dancing platform on the side of a mountain in the middle of nowhere while counseling a bunch of college students through a stressful first-year experience. But in all seriousness, these different experiences I've had in the past have given me clever solutions in very tricky situations. Whenever I go camping, I use my engineering skills to jerry-rig something new, to hang a bear bag over a really high-hanging branch, or to fix a tent pole, or how to explain the thermodynamics of a sleeping pad. Ballroom dancing has given me the ability to explain complex engineering terms in new ways for my engineering classmates. Freshman academy coaching has given me the patience to deal with said classmates. But in essence, exposing yourself to new concepts, thoughts, and ideas lets your brain draw on a wider array of things. And that will give you the ability to come up with wilder associations than the person next to you. And thanks to Curious George and the Little Prince, I've come to realize that the most important childlike traits to keep are a healthy sense of curiosity, as well as stubborn persistence with questions that are not necessarily traditionally asked by anyone. So I challenge you today to take what you've gained from all these different speakers, to see the different associations, the connection between soccer and volunteering, between game design and 3D printing. Go out and push your comfort zones, starting today. Don't wait for a new year. Go out, go camping over the weekend. Dance on a hardwood floor like you've never danced before. Get to know someone that you've never dreamed of talking to. Because gaining different sets of experiences will give you the competitive edge to come up with the craziest and wildest idea that you could ever dream of. Thank you.